What if I told you that beneath the sands of time lie secrets so profound they could rewrite everything we know about human history? What if ancient civilizations possessed knowledge and technologies that vanished completely, leaving behind only whispers and impossible artifacts? Tonight we're diving into 25 ancient mysteries that have baffled archaeologists, historians, and scholars for centuries. From entire armies that disappeared into thin air to Babylonian tablets that seem to describe time travel, these aren't just legends, they're real historical enigmas that challenge our understanding of the past. But before we dive in, hit that subscribe button if you love getting lost in the unsolved mysteries of the world, and drop a comment where in the world are you watching from and what time is it right now. Some of these mysteries are carved in stone, others whispered in forgotten texts. All of them will make you question whether our ancestors knew secrets that we've lost forever. So let's begin with a case from ancient Egypt, where an entire Persian army of 50,000 soldiers marched into the desert and was never seen again. The vanishing army of Siwa. Deep in the Egyptian desert lies the Siwa oasis, a place where legend and reality blur into something far more mysterious than either alone. This ancient sanctuary, home to the Oracle of Ammon, witnessed one of history's most baffling disappearances. In 524 BCE, Persian king Cambyses X dispatched an army of 50,000 soldiers across the desert to conquer the sacred oasis. These weren't ordinary men, they were seasoned warriors, equipped with the finest weapons and provisions for the journey ahead. Historical records tell us they departed from Thebes with confidence, their destination clear, their mission straightforward. But somewhere in the vast expanse of sand and stone, 50,000 men simply vanished without a trace. No battlefield has ever been found, no scattered weapons, no bones bleached white by the desert sun, no evidence whatsoever that this massive force ever existed beyond the written accounts of their departure. The desert, it seems, swallowed them whole. Alexander the Great himself would later visit the Siwa oasis in 331 BCE, consulting the very oracle that Cambyses had sought to destroy. The priests confirmed Alexander as the son of the god Ammon, legitimizing his rule over Egypt. But when asked about the fate of the Persian army, even the oracle remained silent. Modern archaeological expeditions have scoured the desert using ground-penetrating radar and satellite imagery. They've found ancient settlements, forgotten trade routes, and evidence of climatic changes that transformed the Sahara from a green paradise into an arid wasteland. But of Cambyses' army, nothing. Some theorists suggest a massive sandstorm could have buried the entire force so completely that their remains lie beyond the reach of modern detection. Others propose they were ambushed by desert nomads who knew the terrain intimately. The most unsettling possibility is that they're still out there, perfectly preserved beneath the sand, waiting for the right moment to be discovered. The Siwa oasis continues to guard its secrets, and the fate of 50,000 Persian soldiers remains one of history's most haunting mysteries. The Inca supercomputer of knotted strings. In the heart of the Andes Mountains, the Inca Empire developed a system of information storage that challenges our understanding of ancient technology. Without a written language, they created something that modern computer scientists now recognize as remarkably similar to binary code, the quipu. At first glance, a quipu appears deceptively simple, a main chord with numerous subsidiary strings attached, each bearing carefully arranged knots. But beneath this apparent simplicity lies a complex system that recorded everything from census data to astronomical observations, tax records to historical narratives. The knots themselves follow a sophisticated decimal system. Each cluster represents specific numerical values, with the position and type of knot conveying different meanings. A single quipu could contain thousands of individual data points, all encoded in a three-dimensional format that required no writing materials whatsoever. But here's where the mystery deepens. Many quipus contain patterns that go far beyond simple numerical records. Some researchers believe these more complex arrangements may have recorded stories, laws, or even encrypted messages that remain undeciphered to this day. Modern mathematicians studying quipu have discovered striking parallels to contemporary data processing principles. The way information is organized across multiple strings mirrors distributed database architecture. The hierarchical structure of primary and secondary chords resembles modern file systems. Some scholars suggest the quipu may have functioned as humanity's first mechanical computer. The Spanish conquistadors, recognizing the power of this information system, systematically destroyed thousands of quipus in an effort to erase Inca culture. Only about 600 examples survive today, and most have yielded only their basic numerical content. The few remaining quipu masters died with their knowledge, taking the deeper secrets of the system to their graves. We can read the numbers, but the stories, the laws, the accumulated wisdom of an entire civilization encoded in knotted strings, all of this remains locked away, waiting for someone to crack the code. Each quipu was not just a record, but a key to understanding how the Inca saw their world, organized their society, and preserved their knowledge for future generations. In destroying these knotted computers, the Spanish may have erased one of humanity's most sophisticated information systems, the magnetic heads of Olmec giants. In the jungles of Central America, colossal stone heads, carved by the mysterious Olmec civilization, continue to puzzle archaeologists more than 3,000 years after their creation. These massive sculptures, some weighing up to 40 tons, feature detailed facial features that seem to gaze eternally across the landscape. But recent magnetic field surveys have revealed something extraordinary about these ancient monuments. They possess localized magnetic anomalies that shouldn't exist in natural stone. Research teams from Harvard and Yale universities have conducted detailed measurements across 11 Olmec heads, discovering that strong magnetic fields consistently concentrate in specific areas of each sculpture. The forehead region shows the highest magnetic readings, with values significantly above background levels found elsewhere on the statues. This pattern isn't random, it repeats across multiple sites, suggesting the Olmec deliberately selected basalt blocks with specific magnetic properties, or somehow knew how to identify and enhance these characteristics during the carving process. The implications are staggering. If the Olmec possessed knowledge of magnetism, they were working with concepts that wouldn't be formally understood by European science for another 2 millennia. The magnetic compass wouldn't appear in ancient China for over 1,000 years after these heads were carved. Even more intriguingly, the magnetic anomalies aren't limited to human figures. Animal sculptures, jaguars, turtles, and other creatures show similar patterns concentrated in anatomically significant locations like snouts and paws. This suggests the Olmec applied their magnetic knowledge systematically throughout their artistic and possibly religious practices. Archaeological evidence points to the possible existence of polished stone rods that may have served as primitive magnetic testing devices. These tools could have helped Olmec artisans locate the strongest magnetic areas within their raw materials before beginning the carving process. The purpose of this magnetic knowledge remains completely unknown. Were these stones meant to interact with the Earth's magnetic field? Did the Olmec believe magnetism held spiritual significance, or were they developing practical applications we can't even imagine? The colossal heads continue to watch over the jungle, their magnetic secrets locked within tons of precisely carved stone, waiting for us to understand what their creators knew about the invisible forces that surround us all. The Babylonian time travelers. In the dusty ruins of southern Iraq, archaeologists uncovered a clay tablet that would challenge everything we thought we knew about the history of mathematics. The Plimpton 322 tablet, inscribed with cuneiform script nearly 4,000 years ago, contains mathematical knowledge that shouldn't have existed for another millennium. The tablet displays rows of numbers that modern mathematicians immediately recognize as Pythagorean triples, the numerical relationships that form the foundation of the famous theorem about right triangles. But here's the mystery. This tablet predates Pythagoras by over 200 years. The numbers are systematically arranged in columns corresponding to the precise measurements of right triangle sides. The Babylonians weren't just stumbling upon these relationships, they understood them well enough to create comprehensive tables that could be used for complex calculations. Using a base 60 numerical system that we still use today for measuring time and angles, The Babylonians performed sophisticated trigonometric calculations. They weren't just doing basic arithmetic, they were manipulating abstract mathematical concepts with a level of sophistication that rivals modern techniques. The tablet may have served multiple purposes: land surveying, architectural design, or advanced mathematics instruction. The geometric reasoning displayed goes far beyond practical application, suggesting the Babylonians had developed theoretical mathematics, the ability to generalize relationships and work with abstract concepts. This discovery forces us to reconsider the entire narrative of mathematical development. For centuries, textbooks have portrayed ancient Greece as the birthplace of theoretical mathematics, with Pythagoras as one of its founding fathers. But the evidence clearly shows that Babylonian mathematicians were already working with these concepts when Greek civilization was still in its infancy. The tablet represents something even more profound than advanced mathematics. It suggests the Babylonians may have possessed a fundamentally different understanding of numerical relationships and geometric space. Their base 60 system allowed for calculations that would be extremely difficult using our decimal system. We're left with unsettling questions. What other mathematical knowledge did the Babylonians possess that we haven't discovered? How much of what we consider Greek mathematics actually originated in Mesopotamia? And most mysteriously, how did they develop such sophisticated techniques without the benefit of modern tools or notation? The Plimpton 322 tablet sits in a museum today, its cuneiform script still sharp after 4 millennia, holding secrets that may reshape our understanding of human intellectual achievement. In its precise rows of numbers lies evidence that our ancestors were far more sophisticated than we ever imagined. The Sahara's lost civilization. Before the Sahara became the vast desert we know today, it was a green paradise of lakes, rivers, and thriving ecosystems. Between 11,000 and 5,000 years ago, this region supported diverse plant and animal life under the influence of seasonal rains and stable climate patterns. As the climate changed and the desert began to expand, most communities fled to more hospitable regions. But one group chose to stay, adapting to the increasingly harsh conditions through ingenuity and determination. They became the Garamantes, and their story represents one of history's most remarkable examples of human adaptation to environmental change. The Garamantes developed what may be the most sophisticated water management system of the ancient world. They created an underground network of channels and wells that stretched nearly 500 kilometers beneath the desert floor. These weren't simple irrigation ditches, they were precisely engineered aqueducts that tapped into deep aquifers and transported water across vast distances. The engineering required to build this system was extraordinary. The Garamantes had to understand groundwater flow, geological formations, and hydraulic principles that wouldn't be formally studied until modern times. They calculated gradients, managed water pressure, and created distribution systems that supplied multiple settlements across their desert kingdom. For centuries, this network allowed them to maintain agricultural communities, raise livestock, and support a complex civilization in the heart of what was becoming one of Earth's most hostile environments. They weren't just surviving, they were thriving, creating art, conducting trade, and developing technologies that enabled them to master their environment. Archaeological evidence reveals the remains of their cities, complete with fortifications, residential areas, and sophisticated burial complexes. They weren't primitive nomads scraping by in the desert. They were the rulers of a hydraulic empire that controlled trade routes across North Africa. But even the most sophisticated technology has its limits. The Garamantes' success led to their downfall. As their population grew and their agriculture expanded, they began extracting groundwater faster than it could be replenished. The aquifers they depended on had been filled over thousands of years, but the Garamantes emptied them in just a few centuries. As water levels dropped, their irrigation system began to fail. Wells went dry, crops failed, and the desert reclaimed their cities. The Garamantes, who had seemed to conquer the Sahara itself, were ultimately defeated by their own success. Today, satellite imagery reveals the ghostly outlines of their abandoned settlements and the dried channels of their water system. The Garamantes kingdom stands as both a testament to human ingenuity and a warning about the consequences of environmental overexploitation. Their story resonates with modern concerns about resource management and climate change. In an age when we're grappling with similar challenges on a global scale, the Garamantes remind us that even the most advanced civilizations can be brought down by environmental collapse. The Nazca's spiral stairway to water. In the arid highlands of Peru, the Nazca people faced a challenge that would have defeated most civilizations: how to create a thriving agricultural society in one of the world's most unforgiving deserts. Their solution was so ingenious that it continues to function today, more than 1,500 years after its construction. The Nazca spiral wells represent one of the most sophisticated water management systems ever developed. These aren't ordinary wells, they're precisely engineered structures that descend into the earth in perfect spirals, creating a continuous pathway from the surface to underground water sources. Each spiral well is a marvel of engineering and artistry. The stone-lined passages wind downward in ever-tightening circles, allowing people to walk safely to the water level while maintaining structural integrity. The spiral design isn't just aesthetic, it serves multiple practical purposes that demonstrate the Nazca's deep understanding of hydraulics and engineering. The spiral shape creates a natural ventilation system that prevents the buildup of stagnant air and reduces water evaporation. As air moves through the spiral passages, it creates circulation patterns that keep the water fresh and accessible. The stepped construction allows for easy maintenance and repair, ensuring the system could function for centuries. But the wells are only part of a much larger system. Underground aqueducts connect the spiral wells to a network of channels that distribute water throughout Nazca settlements. These subterranean waterways, built from carefully selected stones, direct groundwater from highland sources to agricultural areas and residential districts. The construction of this system required the Nazca to possess detailed knowledge of local geology, groundwater flow patterns, and materials engineering. They had to identify underground water sources, calculate optimal locations for wells, and coordinate the construction of multiple interconnected systems across vast distances. Modern engineers studying the Nazca aqueducts have found them to be remarkably sophisticated. The gradients are precisely calculated to maintain water flow without causing erosion. The materials are selected for durability and resistance to mineral buildup. The entire system is designed to be self-maintaining, continuing to function with minimal intervention. Some researchers believe the spiral wells held religious significance beyond their practical function. The placement and number of wells sometimes align with astronomical phenomena, suggesting they may have served ceremonial purposes related to water worship or seasonal rituals. The Nazca spiral wells continue to supply water to modern communities, proving that ancient engineering can surpass contemporary solutions in both efficiency and sustainability. They represent not just technological achievement, but a fundamental understanding of how human societies can work with natural systems rather than against them. In an age when water scarcity threatens communities worldwide, the Nazca wells offer lessons in sustainable resource management that remain relevant today. Their spiral passages continue to carry water from the depths of the earth, connecting us to the ingenuity of a civilization that learned to thrive in harmony with their environment. The magnetic mysteries of ancient medicine. In the quiet halls of modern research laboratories, scientists are making discoveries that challenge our understanding of medieval medicine. For generations, the Middle Ages were dismissed as a dark age of medical knowledge, a time when superstition replaced science and healing relied more on prayer than practical treatment. But recent analysis of medieval medical texts, particularly the 9th century Anglo-Saxon manuscript known as Bald's Leech Book, has revealed that medieval physicians possessed knowledge that rivals modern medicine in its effectiveness. The breakthrough came when researchers decided to recreate ancient remedies using the exact ingredients and methods described in medieval texts. One recipe, designed to treat eye infections, called for a complex mixture of garlic, onion, wine, and oxgall, ingredients that seemed primitive by modern standards. When microbiologists tested this ancient ointment against methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, one of the most dangerous antibiotic-resistant bacteria plaguing modern hospitals, the results were stunning. The medieval remedy proved more effective than many contemporary antibiotics. Chemical analysis revealed that the ancient combination created bioactive compounds with structures never before identified in modern scientific databases. The medieval physicians hadn't just stumbled upon an effective treatment, they had developed a sophisticated understanding of how different substances interact at the molecular level. Research teams across Europe and America began examining hundreds of other medieval remedies preserved in Latin manuscripts. Their findings consistently showed that 11th to 14th century physicians were using combinations of natural ingredients that generated highly active compounds with specific mechanisms of action against bacterial infections. The implications are staggering. At a time when antibiotic resistance threatens global health, medieval medicine offers potential solutions that modern science has overlooked. These ancient remedies weren't based on folklore or wishful thinking, they were grounded in systematic observation and empirical knowledge passed down through generations of skilled practitioners. The successful reconstruction of medieval remedies proves that ancient communities developed treatment methods based on careful study and repeated testing. They observed which combinations worked, refined their techniques, and preserved their knowledge in detailed written records that modern science is only beginning to appreciate. This research requires unprecedented collaboration between historians, linguists, chemists, and microbiologists. Each medieval recipe must be decoded from archaic language, translated into modern terms, and recreated using historically accurate ingredients and preparation methods. The work doesn't stop with antibiotics. Medieval texts contain remedies for conditions ranging from arthritis to respiratory infections, many of which show promise in preliminary testing. We're discovering that medieval physicians possessed a sophisticated understanding of pharmacology that was lost during the transition to modern medicine. As we face the growing threat of antibiotic-resistant bacteria, medieval medicine offers hope for developing new treatments based on time-tested principles. The ancient physicians who compiled texts like Bald's Leech Book weren't primitive healers. They were skilled researchers whose work may hold the key to modern medical challenges. The riddle of the Kaimanawa Wall. Deep in New Zealand's Kaimanawa forest stands a structure that has sparked decades of heated debate among archaeologists, geologists, and indigenous historians. The Kaimanawa Wall appears to be a precisely constructed stone barrier, its blocks fitted together with remarkable accuracy and aligned in perfectly straight lines. The wall stretches for several meters through the forest, composed of large megalithic blocks that seem to have been cut and shaped with incredible precision. The joints between stones are so tight that a knife blade can barely fit between them. The surface is remarkably flat, showing none of the irregular weathering patterns typical of natural rock formations. What makes this discovery so controversial is its location and apparent age. The wall lies in an area where conventional archaeology suggests no advanced stoneworking civilizations existed. The thick soil layers and ancient tree roots covering the structure indicate it has remained undisturbed for an extremely long period, possibly thousands of years. Some researchers argue the wall represents evidence of a sophisticated prehistoric culture that possessed advanced construction techniques. The precision of the stonework suggests knowledge of engineering principles and tools capable of cutting and shaping large blocks of stone with remarkable accuracy. Geological studies, however, propose a natural explanation. The wall may be the result of volcanic activity that occurred hundreds of thousands of years ago. When molten rock cooled and contracted, it could have created the vertical fractures and flat surfaces that give the formation its artificial appearance. The debate intensifies when examining the wall's characteristics up close. The edges of the blocks show what appears to be tool marks, regular patterns that suggest human workmanship. The alignment is too precise to be easily explained by natural processes alone, and the way the blocks fit together resembles known construction techniques, from other ancient civilizations. Yet no artifacts, tools, or other evidence of human presence have been found in the immediate area. The mineral composition of the stones matches the geological history of the region, providing no clear indication of quarrying or transport from distant sources. The Kaimanawa Wall raises fundamental questions about New Zealand's prehistory. If it is artificial, it would represent the oldest known stone construction in the Pacific, predating Polynesian settlement by centuries or even millennia. This would require a complete revision of our understanding of early human presence in the region. Indigenous oral traditions contain stories of ancient peoples who inhabited the land before the arrival of later Polynesian groups. These legends describe skilled builders who created lasting monuments before vanishing into the mists of time. Could the Kaimanawa Wall be physical evidence of these forgotten ancestors? Modern analysis techniques continue to yield ambiguous results. Some aspects of the wall suggest natural formation, while others point toward human construction. The truth may lie somewhere between these extremes, perhaps a natural formation that was modified or enhanced by human activity. The Kaimanawa Wall remains one of New Zealand's most intriguing mysteries, a structure that challenges our assumptions about the past and forces us to consider possibilities that don't fit neatly into established historical narratives. The Vanishing Lake of the Sahara. In 2014, residents of the Tunisian desert town of Gafsa witnessed something that shouldn't have been possible. Overnight, a large freshwater lake appeared in the middle of the arid landscape, its turquoise waters stretching across thousands of square meters of previously dry ground. The lake's sudden appearance in one of the world's most water-scarce regions sparked immediate scientific interest and public speculation. How could such a large body of water simply materialize in a desert that hadn't seen significant rainfall in decades? Initial investigations focused on geological explanations. The Gafsa region sits above ancient fault lines that are subject to periodic seismic activity. Geologists theorized that underground tremors might have opened new pathways for compressed aquifers to reach the surface, creating a natural spring of unprecedented size. The area has a long history of phosphate mining, with frequent blasting operations that could have disturbed underground water systems. These activities might have altered the pressure in water-bearing rock layers, creating conditions for groundwater to suddenly erupt to the surface. Chemical analysis of the water revealed unusual mineral content and microbial indicators that differed significantly from typical surface water sources. The composition suggested the water had been isolated underground for extended periods, supporting theories about pressurized aquifers being released by geological or human activity. But the lake's appearance raised concerns beyond its mysterious origin. The water showed signs of possible contamination with heavy metals and other substances that could pose health risks to local populations. Despite this, the lake quickly became a popular destination for swimmers and tourists desperate to escape the desert heat. Local authorities struggled to manage the situation. The lake was not part of any official water system or development plan. Its legal status remained unclear, and questions arose about who, if anyone, had the authority to regulate access or monitor water quality. As quickly as it had appeared, the lake began to change. Water levels fluctuated unpredictably, and the shoreline shifted as underground pressure patterns stabilized. The initial crystal-clear waters became increasingly murky, and concerns about contamination grew. The story of the Gafsa Lake illustrates the complex relationship between geology, human activity, and environmental change in desert regions. It demonstrates how underground water systems can be far more dynamic and unpredictable than surface observations might suggest. Scientists continue to study the lake as a natural experiment in desert hydrology. Its formation provides insights into how aquifers behave under stress and how human activities can trigger unexpected environmental changes. The lake's brief existence serves as a reminder that even in the most stable-seeming environments, dramatic changes can occur without warning. It highlights the importance of understanding the hidden connections between surface conditions and deep geological processes. Today, the lake has largely disappeared, leaving behind only mineral deposits and scientific data. but its temporary existence opened new questions about the water resources that may lie hidden beneath the Sahara's surface, waiting for the right conditions to reveal themselves. The headless statues of Rome. Walking through the ruins of ancient Rome, visitors often encounter something puzzling. Beautifully carved statues with perfectly sculpted bodies, but missing heads. These aren't the result of vandalism or natural decay. They represent one of the most ingenious political technologies ever developed. Roman sculptors pioneered a technique that modern historians call portrait recycling. Rather than creating monolithic statues, they carved heads and bodies as separate pieces, with necks precisely shaped to allow secure attachment, while permitting easy replacement when political circumstances changed. This system reflected the volatile nature of Roman politics, where emperors, senators, and local officials could fall from grace overnight. When a new emperor came to power, or a politician needed to distance himself from a fallen ally, the solution was simple: replace the head rather than commission an entirely new statue. The technique required extraordinary skill from Roman sculptors. They had to create standardized neck attachments that would fit multiple different heads while maintaining structural integrity. The proportions had to be calculated so that various portrait heads would look natural on the same body. A single statue body might wear dozens of different faces over its lifetime. A monument in a public square could represent a popular general one year, a newly elected consul the next, and a visiting emperor the year after that. The body remained constant while the identity changed with the political winds. This practice reveals remarkable pragmatism in Roman society. Rather than viewing statues as permanent artistic statements, Romans understood them as dynamic communication tools that needed to reflect current realities. The ability to update public monuments quickly and efficiently was essential for maintaining political legitimacy. The process also demonstrates sophisticated understanding of materials and engineering. Roman sculptors developed specialized tools and techniques for creating clean, precise joints that could be assembled and disassembled repeatedly without damage. They used lead clamps, bronze pins, and other mechanical fasteners to secure heads while allowing for future removal. Archaeological evidence shows that workshops maintained inventories of both standardized bodies and portrait heads. When orders came in for new monuments, sculptors could quickly assemble appropriate combinations rather than starting from scratch. This system allowed for rapid production of public art while maintaining high standards of craftsmanship. The practice extended beyond simple portraiture. Some bodies were designed to accommodate different types of heads: military commanders, civilian officials, or religious figures. The same torso might represent different social roles by switching not just the face, but the entire head and neck assembly. Modern analysis of Roman statues reveals the sophisticated joinery techniques used in these assemblies. X-ray imaging shows the metal fasteners and structural supports that held the pieces together. Chemical analysis of the stone reveals different sources and ages, confirming that heads and bodies were often created separately and sometimes decades apart. The headless statues of Rome represent more than just artistic technique. They embody a pragmatic approach to power, identity, and public communication that reflects the dynamic nature of Roman society. In their missing heads, we see evidence of political upheavals, shifting alliances, and the constant negotiation between individual ambition and collective stability. The handbag mystery of Sumerian gods. Across the ancient world, from the ziggurat temples of Mesopotamia to the stone reliefs of distant civilizations, a curious motif appears with remarkable consistency. Gods and powerful beings depicted carrying small, handbag-shaped objects. These mysterious artifacts appear in Sumerian art, Assyrian reliefs, and countless other ancient cultures, yet their purpose remains completely unknown. The handbags appear in the hands of winged deities, powerful rulers, and divine figures across thousands of years of artistic representation. The consistency of the design is striking. They feature short handles, are typically held close to the body, and often appear alongside other symbolic elements, like the tree of life or astronomical symbols. What makes this mystery particularly intriguing is the apparent uniformity of the handbag motif across cultures that had no documented contact with each other. The same basic design appears in Sumerian reliefs from 4,000 years ago, in Mayan carvings from Central America, and in artifacts from ancient Egypt and India. Archaeological and linguistic analysis has failed to identify any ancient texts that specifically describe the function of these objects. Unlike other religious symbols that are explained in mythological literature, the handbags appear without commentary, as if their purpose was so obvious to ancient peoples that no explanation was necessary. Some researchers theorized that the handbags were ritual containers used to hold holy water, sacred oils, or purification substances. This interpretation draws support from depictions that show figures apparently sprinkling or pouring substances from the containers during ceremonial activities. Others suggest the handbags represented portable shrines or reliquaries containing sacred objects that could be carried during religious processions or ceremonies. The consistent association with divine figures supports this interpretation, as such containers would naturally be associated with the gods themselves. More speculative theories propose that the handbags symbolized advanced knowledge or technology. Some researchers point to the object's consistent appearance across diverse cultures as evidence of shared technological heritage or even extraterrestrial contact. While these interpretations lack archaeological support, they reflect the genuine puzzlement that the handbag motif continues to inspire. The mystery deepens when considering the precision with which the handbags are depicted. Ancient artists who carved these reliefs were skilled craftsmen who paid careful attention to symbolic detail. The consistent appearance of the handbags suggests they represented something of genuine importance to ancient religious and cultural systems. Recent analysis using advanced imaging techniques has revealed previously unnoticed details in some depictions. What appeared to be simple bags may actually show complex internal structures, decorative elements, or mechanical components that weren't visible in earlier studies. The handbag motif raises fundamental questions about the transmission of symbolic knowledge across ancient cultures. How did such similar images develop in societies separated by vast distances and long periods of time? What shared experience or understanding could have given rise to this universal symbol? Modern attempts to decode the handbag mystery have involved collaboration between archaeologists, art historians, religious scholars, and anthropologists. Each discipline brings different perspectives to the interpretation of these enigmatic objects, but a definitive explanation remains elusive. The handbags continue to appear in newly discovered artifacts, each finding adding to the complexity of the mystery while providing new opportunities for analysis. As archaeological techniques improve and new sites are excavated, researchers hope to find the key that will unlock the secrets of these ancient accessories. Until then, the handbag mystery serves as a reminder of how much we still don't understand about ancient symbolic systems and the sophisticated religious and cultural networks that connected early civilizations across the globe. The floating coffins of Asia high on the sheer cliff faces of East and Southeast Asia. Wooden coffins hang suspended between earth and sky, defying gravity and conventional burial practices. These extraordinary burial sites represent one of the most mysterious funeral customs in human history, practiced by cultures separated by vast distances and seemingly unconnected by any direct cultural exchange. In the mountains of southern China, the Bo people of Sichuan province developed the most extensive hanging coffin tradition. They selected impossibly steep cliff faces and somehow managed to place wooden coffins in natural crevices or on wooden brackets anchored deep into solid rock. Some of these burial sites are positioned hundreds of meters above the valley floor, accessible only by the most skilled climbers. The engineering challenges involved in creating these aerial cemeteries are staggering. The coffins had to be constructed at the burial site or somehow transported up sheer rock faces using techniques that remain completely unknown. The wooden supports had to be installed with precision that would ensure stability for centuries, yet many of these burial sites have remained intact for over 1,000 years. archaeological analysis reveals that the hanging coffin tradition wasn't limited to China. In the Philippines, the Igorot people of the Sagada region practiced similar customs, placing coffins in natural caves and on cliff ledges throughout the mountainous terrain. Their burial sites show the same attention to elevated positioning and protection from ground-level disturbances. The Indonesian island of Sulawesi hosts perhaps the most elaborate hanging coffin sites, where the Toraja people created complex burial chambers carved directly into cliff faces. These sites feature multiple levels of coffins, some arranged in intricate patterns that suggest sophisticated planning and community coordination. The motivation behind these extraordinary burial practices appears to be both practical and spiritual. Elevated burial sites protected remains from wild animals, flooding, and grave robbers. The high positions also placed the deceased closer to the sky, reflecting beliefs about the soul's journey after death and the connection between the earthly and divine realms. But the technical aspects of these burial practices raise questions that go far beyond spiritual beliefs. How did ancient peoples develop the rope-working techniques, pulley systems, and climbing skills necessary to access these impossible locations? The tools and methods required would have represented the pinnacle of mountaineering technology for their time. Modern rock climbers using contemporary equipment struggle to reach some of these burial sites. The fact that ancient peoples not only accessed these locations, but also transported heavy wooden coffins and performed complex construction work while suspended on cliff faces demonstrates capabilities that seem to exceed what should have been possible with available technology. Carbon dating of coffin wood and human remains reveals that different cultures developed hanging burial practices independently across spans of thousands of years. The earliest sites in China date back over 3,000 years, while similar practices in other regions emerged at different times, suggesting that multiple societies independently concluded that aerial burial was the optimal solution to their needs. The preservation of organic materials in these elevated sites has provided archaeologists with extraordinary insights into ancient life. Textiles, wooden artifacts, and even human remains show remarkable preservation due to the dry, ventilated conditions found in cliff-face burial chambers. These materials offer glimpses into ancient technologies, artistic traditions, and daily life that would have been lost in conventional ground burials. Some of the most intriguing discoveries come from the contents of the coffins themselves. Burial goods include sophisticated wooden implements, bronze weapons, and textiles that demonstrate advanced craftsmanship. The quality of these artifacts suggests that hanging burial was reserved for elite members of society who could afford both the expensive funeral preparations and the complex logistics required. The gradual abandonment of hanging burial practices across different cultures raises additional questions. Why did societies that had maintained these traditions for centuries suddenly stop? Climate change, population movements, and evolving religious beliefs may have contributed to the decline, but the specific factors remain unclear. Today, these ancient burial sites face threats from natural erosion, tourism, and modern development. Conservation efforts struggle to protect sites that are inherently difficult to access and maintain. The same isolation that preserved these coffins for centuries now makes them challenging to study and safeguard. The hanging coffins of Asia represent one of humanity's most remarkable adaptations to challenging environmental conditions. They demonstrate that ancient peoples were willing to undertake extraordinary efforts to honor their dead and ensure proper burial according to their cultural beliefs. These aerial cemeteries continue to guard their secrets, suspended between earth and sky like questions hanging in the air, waiting for answers that may explain how our ancestors achieved the seemingly impossible through determination, skill, and technologies we're only beginning to understand. The Antikythera mechanism's digital secrets. In 1901, sponge divers working off the Greek island of Antikythera discovered what appeared to be a corroded bronze artifact among the ruins of an ancient shipwreck. For decades, this mysterious device sat in museum storage, its true nature hidden beneath layers of marine corrosion and the assumptions of archaeologists who couldn't imagine that ancient Greeks possessed sophisticated mechanical technology. The artifact, now known as the Antikythera mechanism, would eventually revolutionize our understanding of ancient scientific capabilities. When researchers finally began serious analysis using X-ray tomography and advanced imaging techniques, they discovered something extraordinary: a complex mechanical computer that predates similar devices by over 1,000 years. The mechanism contains at least 37 bronze gears, arranged in a precise configuration that could calculate and display astronomical phenomena with remarkable accuracy. It could predict the positions of the sun, moon, and planets, track lunar phases, and even forecast eclipses decades in advance. The level of mathematical sophistication required to design such a device rivals modern astronomical computers. But the mechanical complexity is only part of the mystery. The gears are cut with precision that suggests the use of specialized tools and manufacturing techniques. The tooth counts on different gears follow mathematical relationships that demonstrate deep understanding of planetary motion and cyclical patterns that wouldn't be formally described until the work of Kepler and Newton. Recent analysis has revealed that the device incorporated corrections for the irregular motion of the moon, accounting for its elliptical orbit and varying speed, concepts that modern astronomy considers quite advanced. The ancient Greek designers somehow understood these subtle variations and built them into their mechanical calculations. The implications extend far beyond a single artifact. If the Greeks possessed the knowledge and skill to create the Antikythera mechanism, what other sophisticated technologies might they have developed? The device represents just one example of what may have been a much broader tradition of precision engineering and scientific instrumentation. Historical texts mention other mechanical devices created by ancient Greek inventors, but the Antikythera mechanism is the only surviving example of this technology. Its discovery suggests that we may have drastically underestimated the scientific and engineering capabilities of ancient civilizations. The mechanism's origins remain mysterious. No similar devices have been found, no instruction manuals exist, and no ancient texts describe its construction in detail. It appears to have been created by a tradition of skilled craftsmen whose knowledge was lost when the device went down with its ship over 2,000 years ago. Modern attempts to reconstruct the Antikythera mechanism have required teams of engineers, computer scientists, and historians working with advanced manufacturing techniques. The fact that ancient Greeks accomplished this feat using hand tools and bronze working technology demonstrates capabilities that challenge our assumptions about technological progress. The device may have been used for navigation, agricultural planning, or religious ceremonies that required precise astronomical timing. Its portable size suggests it was designed to be transported and used in various locations, making it a kind of ancient laptop computer for astronomical calculations. Research continues to reveal new details about the mechanism's construction and capabilities. Each technological advance in imaging and analysis brings new insights into how the device functioned and what it tells us about ancient Greek science and engineering. The Antikythera mechanism stands as proof that technological innovation doesn't follow a simple linear progression. Sometimes, remarkable achievements emerge from unexpected places and times, only to be lost and rediscovered centuries later. In its corroded gears lies evidence of human ingenuity that transcends our modern assumptions about the past. The bog body's impossible preservation. In the peat bogs of northern Europe, archaeologists have discovered human remains so perfectly preserved that they appear to have died recently, despite being buried for over 2,000 years. These bog bodies represent one of the most remarkable examples of natural preservation in the archaeological record, and their condition raises questions that challenge our understanding of decay, death, and ancient execution practices. The most famous bog body, known as Tolland Man, was discovered in Denmark in 1950. His features are so well preserved that observers can see individual whiskers on his chin, wrinkles around his eyes, and a peaceful expression that suggests he died in his sleep. But closer examination reveals a leather noose around his neck, indicating he was executed by hanging. The preservation is so complete that forensic analysis can determine what these ancient people ate for their final meals, the diseases they suffered from, and even their blood types. Stomach contents reveal complex grain porridges, suggesting the bog bodies lived during times of agricultural abundance rather than famine. What makes this preservation possible is the unique chemistry of peat bogs. The combination of acidic water, low oxygen levels, and cold temperatures creates an environment where normal bacterial decay cannot occur. Instead, the bog water essentially tans human skin like leather, preserving it indefinitely. But the chemical processes involved are far more complex than simple preservation. The bog environment causes specific changes to human tissue that shouldn't be possible under normal circumstances. Bones dissolve completely, while skin and organs remain intact. Hair color changes from its original shade to a reddish brown, and fingernails become soft and flexible. Recent analysis using advanced biochemical techniques has revealed that bog bodies contain molecular structures that don't exist in normal human tissue. The preservation process creates new chemical compounds that give the remains their remarkable durability and distinctive appearance. The bog bodies also preserve evidence of ancient medical and surgical practices. Some remains show signs of a sophisticated wound treatment, bone setting, and even trepanation, surgical procedures that demonstrate advanced medical knowledge. The preservation allows researchers to study ancient healthcare practices with unprecedented detail. Many bog bodies show signs of violent death, stabbing, strangulation, bludgeoning, or combinations of different execution methods. This pattern suggests they may have been sacrificial victims rather than ordinary criminals. The elaborate nature of some executions points to religious or ritualistic purposes that remain mysterious. The clothing and accessories found with bog bodies provide insights into ancient textile production, fashion, and social status. Leather shoes, woolen garments, and jewellery survive in remarkable condition, offering glimpses into daily life that would be impossible to obtain from other archaeological sources. Carbon dating reveals that bog bodies span a period of over 1,000 years, suggesting that whatever cultural practices led to their burial continued across many generations. The consistency of preservation across different time periods indicates that ancient peoples understood the bog environment's preservative properties. Some researchers theorize that bog burial was specifically chosen for certain individuals, perhaps religious leaders, criminals, or sacrifice victims, who required special treatment after death. The effort involved in transporting bodies to remote bog locations suggests deliberate planning rather than simple disposal. The bog bodies challenge our understanding of ancient justice systems and religious practices. The elaborate execution methods, careful positioning of bodies, and choice of burial location suggest complex cultural beliefs about death, punishment, and the afterlife. Modern conservation efforts face unique challenges in preserving bog bodies once they're removed from their natural environment. The same chemical processes that preserved them for millennia begin to reverse when exposed to air and different humidity levels, requiring specialized treatment to prevent deterioration. These remarkably preserved remains continue to yield new information about ancient life, death, and the societies that created them. Each bog body represents an individual story frozen in time, waiting to tell us about the beliefs, practices, and daily realities of our ancestors. The megalithic precision of ancient builders. Across the globe, ancient civilizations left behind massive stone structures that demonstrate construction techniques and precision that seem impossible given their available technology. From the perfectly fitted blocks of Machu Picchu to the impossibly heavy foundation stones of Baalbek, these megalithic monuments challenge our understanding of ancient engineering capabilities. The level of precision achieved by ancient builders defies explanation using conventional archaeological theories. Stone blocks weighing hundreds of tons are fitted together with joints so tight that a knife blade cannot be inserted between them. Surfaces are cut with accuracy that rivals modern machine tools, and complex three-dimensional shapes are carved with mathematical precision. At Puma Punku in Bolivia, ancient builders created interlocking stone blocks with complex internal channels, right-angle cuts, and surfaces finished to tolerances measured in millimeters. The precision required for this level of stonework suggests the use of advanced tools and measuring devices that leave no archaeological trace. The transportation of these massive stones presents equally baffling challenges. Many megalithic sites are located in remote, mountainous regions where moving multi-ton blocks would be difficult, even with modern equipment. Ancient builders somehow transported these stones across vast distances and raised them to significant heights using techniques that remain completely unknown. Recent analysis using laser scanning and computer modelling has revealed that many megalithic structures incorporate sophisticated geometric principles. The proportions, angles, and alignments follow mathematical relationships that suggest advanced understanding of engineering and architectural design. Some megalithic sites show evidence of precision that exceeds what would be necessary for simple construction. The level of accuracy suggests that ancient builders were working to specifications that required extraordinary skill and possibly standardized tools or measurement systems. The consistency of construction techniques across different cultures and time periods raises questions about the transmission of knowledge and technology. How did societies separated by vast distances and long periods of time develop such similar approaches to megalithic construction? Modern attempts to replicate ancient megalithic construction have largely failed to achieve the same level of precision using available tools and techniques. Experimental archaeology has demonstrated that moving and shaping large stones is possible with primitive technology, but the accuracy achieved by ancient builders remains elusive. The purpose of such extraordinary precision remains unclear. Why did ancient builders choose to work with such massive stones when similar structures could have been built using smaller, more manageable materials? What motivated them to achieve levels of accuracy that far exceeded practical necessity? Some researchers propose that megalithic construction was driven by religious or ceremonial requirements that demanded perfect execution. The extraordinary effort involved in these projects suggests they held profound significance for the societies that created them. The megalithic monuments continue to inspire awe and puzzlement in equal measure. Their massive stones and impossible precision stand as testament to human capabilities that we're only beginning to understand, reminding us that our ancestors possessed knowledge and skills that may have surpassed our own in some areas. The sailing stones of Death Valley. In the remote stretches of Death Valley's racetrack playa, massive boulders weighing hundreds of pounds have been mysteriously sliding across the desert floor for decades, leaving perfectly straight trails behind them. These sailing stones move without any apparent force, creating patterns that suggest intelligent guidance rather than natural phenomena. The trails stretch for hundreds of meters across the flat lake bed, some running parallel to each other with mathematical precision, others forming complex geometric patterns that seem to follow deliberate paths. The stones themselves range from small rocks to massive boulders weighing over 700 pounds, yet they all show evidence of movement across the hard-packed earth. For over 80 years, scientists have proposed various theories to explain the phenomenon. Early explanations involved underground magnetic fields, seismic activity, or even supernatural forces. More recent theories focused on ice sheets, mud flows, or unusual wind patterns that might provide enough force to move the stones. The mystery deepened when researchers installed GPS tracking devices on several stones and set up monitoring equipment throughout the playa. The stones would remain stationary for months or even years, then suddenly move dozens of meters in a single night, always under cover of darkness and apparently without human observation. High-resolution photography revealed that the movement patterns couldn't be explained by simple wind or water action. The trails show sharp turns, sudden stops, and directional changes that suggest the stones were responding to forces that varied in both strength and direction during their journey across the playa. In 2014, researchers finally captured the phenomenon in action using time-lapse photography and discovered that the movement occurs under very specific conditions. Rare winter rainstorms create shallow pools of water across the playa, and on cold nights, thin sheets of ice form on the surface. As morning sun heats the ice, it begins to break up into large floating sheets, driven by gentle winds. These ice sheets, though only a few millimeters thick, can push against the stones with enough force to set them in motion. The stones slide along the slippery mud beneath the water, leaving their mysterious trails. But this explanation, while scientifically sound, doesn't account for all the observed phenomena. Some stone movements occur during periods when no water is present on the playa, and the geometric precision of many trails suggests forces more complex than simple ice sheet pressure. The sailing stones have become a symbol of how natural phenomena can appear supernatural when we don't understand the underlying mechanisms. They remind us that the Earth is full of processes that operate according to physical laws, but under such specific conditions that they seem to defy explanation. The phenomenon continues to attract researchers and visitors from around the world. Each new observation adds to our understanding of the complex interactions between geology, climate, and physics that create these mysterious stone journeys. Death Valley's sailing stones represent one of nature's most elegant mysteries, a phenomenon that operated in plain sight for decades while keeping its secrets hidden from scientific observation. Their story illustrates how patient observation and technological innovation can eventually illuminate even the most puzzling natural phenomena. The acoustic levitation of Coral Castle. In Homestead, Florida, stands one of America's most puzzling monuments. Coral Castle, a complex of precisely carved coral stone structures built single-handedly by a diminutive man named Edward Leedskalnin. Working alone and in secret, Leedskalnin somehow moved and positioned over 1,000 tons of coral rock using techniques that remain completely unexplained. Leedskalnin, who weighed only 100 pounds and stood just over 5 feet tall, claimed to have discovered the secrets of the pyramid builders. Between 1923 and 1951, he quarried, carved, and assembled massive coral blocks into intricate sculptures, furniture, and architectural elements that demonstrate impossible engineering feats. The largest single piece at Coral Castle is a 9-ton gate that pivots on a single point with such precision that it can be moved with the touch of a finger. The gate's balance point is calculated to tolerances measured in fractions of inches, requiring knowledge of physics and engineering that Leedskalnin claimed to have learned through personal research. Individual coral blocks weighing several tons are fitted together with precision that rivals ancient megalithic construction. The joints between stones are so tight that they form weatherproof seals, and the overall structures have remained stable for over 70 years despite Florida's harsh climate and frequent hurricanes. What makes Coral Castle truly mysterious is that no one ever observed Leedskalnin's construction methods. He worked only at night, using handmade tools and claiming to understand magnetic forces and electrical properties that allowed him to move massive stones with ease. Neighbours reported strange humming sounds and unusual lights coming from the construction site during nighttime work sessions. Leedskalnin left behind cryptic writings about magnetic currents and cosmic forces, along with photographs of his handmade tools and construction equipment. His explanations involve concepts that don't align with conventional physics, but suggest he had developed alternative theories about magnetism, gravity, and the fundamental forces of nature. Recent analysis of the coral stones has revealed unusual magnetic properties and trace elements that differ from natural coral formations. Some researchers suggest that Leedskalnin's techniques involved electromagnetic manipulation or acoustic levitation, methods that would require advanced understanding of physics principles. The precision of the stonework extends beyond simple construction. Leedskalnin created astronomical alignments, incorporated mathematical relationships, and built structures that demonstrate sophisticated knowledge of engineering principles. His work suggests capabilities that far exceeded what should have been possible for a self-taught individual working alone. Modern attempts to replicate Leedskalnin's techniques have failed to achieve the same level of precision or efficiency. Engineers and physicists have studied his methods, but cannot explain how he accomplished such extraordinary feats, using only hand tools and unconventional theories about natural forces. The mystery of Coral Castle extends beyond construction techniques to questions about the nature of physical laws and human capabilities. If Leedskalnin truly discovered alternative methods for manipulating matter and energy, His knowledge died with him, leaving behind only the evidence of his impossible achievements. Visitors to Coral Castle continue to be amazed by the precision and scale of the construction. Each carefully positioned stone raises questions about the limits of human ingenuity and the possibility that conventional physics may not fully explain all the forces available to us. Coral Castle stands as a testament to individual determination and unconventional thinking. Its massive stones and impossible precision remind us that sometimes the most extraordinary achievements come from those who refuse to accept the limitations that others consider absolute. The impossible artifacts of the Coso Geoda. In 1961, rock collectors searching for geodes in California's Coso Mountains discovered what appeared to be an ordinary mineral formation. But when they cut open the geode, they found something that shouldn't exist. A perfectly preserved mechanical device that appeared to be a spark plug encased in rock that geological analysis suggested was hundreds of thousands of years old. The Coso artifact, as it became known, featured a central metallic core surrounded by ceramic insulation enclosed within a hexagonal wooden casing. The overall design closely resembled a 1920s Champion spark plug, complete with threaded metal components and electrical contacts that showed signs of use and corrosion. The discovery created immediate controversy in archaeological circles. If the geological dating was accurate, the artifact would represent evidence of advanced technology existing hundreds of millennia before human civilization developed the capability to create such devices. The implications would require a complete revision of our understanding of human technological development. X-ray analysis revealed internal structures that confirmed the artifact's mechanical complexity. The central electrode, ceramic insulator, and metal housing all showed characteristics consistent with electrical devices designed to generate controlled sparks. The level of precision in the construction suggested manufacturing techniques that shouldn't have been available to ancient peoples. Skeptics argued that the artifact must be a modern object that became encased in rapidly forming mineral deposits through unknown geological processes. They suggested that certain environmental conditions could create rock-like formations around metal objects in relatively short periods, making them appear much older than they actually are. But supporters of the artifact's authenticity pointed to the geological context of the discovery. The surrounding rock formations showed no signs of recent disturbance, and the mineral deposits appeared to have formed through standard geological processes that require thousands of years. The artifact seemed to be genuinely ancient, regardless of how impossible that might be. Further analysis revealed trace elements and mineral compositions that supported the geological dating. The rock matrix contained isotopic signatures consistent with long-term formation processes, and the corrosion patterns on the metal components suggested extended exposure to specific chemical environments. The Coso artifact raised fundamental questions about the nature of technological development and the possibility of lost civilizations. If humans or other intelligent beings possessed advanced technology in the distant past, what happened to that knowledge? How could such sophisticated devices be created without leaving other evidence of advanced civilization? Alternative theories proposed that the artifact might represent evidence of time travel, extraterrestrial visitation, or parallel technological development that followed different paths than our recorded history. While these explanations lacked scientific support, they reflected the genuine puzzlement that the artifact continued to inspire. The controversy surrounding the Coso artifact intensified when attempts to locate the original specimen for further analysis failed. The artifact disappeared from public view, and questions arose about whether it had been deliberately hidden or simply lost among private collections. Modern geologists studying similar formations have discovered that certain mineral deposits can form much more rapidly than previously thought, particularly in areas with specific chemical conditions and geological activity. This research suggests that the Coso artifact might not be as ancient as originally believed. The mystery remains unresolved, with the original artifact unavailable for definitive analysis. Whether it represents evidence of impossible ancient technology or an example of rapid geological processes, the Koso artifact continues to challenge our assumptions about the relationship between geology and human history. The story of the Koso artifact illustrates how a single discovery can raise profound questions about the nature of evidence, the reliability of dating methods, and the possibility that our understanding of the past may be incomplete or fundamentally flawed. The Voynich manuscript's alien language. In the archives of Yale University's Beinecke Rare Book Library sits perhaps the most mysterious book ever created, the Voynich manuscript, a 240-page medieval codex written in an unknown script that has resisted all attempts at deciphering for over 100 years. The manuscript contains elaborate illustrations of plants, astronomical diagrams, and human figures, but its text remains completely unintelligible. The manuscript takes its name from Wilfrid Voynich, the book dealer who acquired it in 1912, but carbon dating suggests it was created in the early 15th century. The vellum pages are covered with flowing script that resembles no known language, featuring characters that appear to be based on Latin letters but follow completely different rules of composition and structure. What makes the Voynich manuscript particularly puzzling is that the text displays statistical properties consistent with natural language. The character frequencies, word lengths, and repetition patterns all suggest that the script represents genuine communication rather than random nonsense or simple cipher. Yet decades of cryptographic analysis have failed to reveal any underlying meaning. The manuscript's illustrations provide tantalizing clues, but only deepen the mystery. The botanical section features detailed drawings of plants that don't match any known species, while the astronomical pages contain star charts and zodiacal symbols that don't correspond to medieval astronomical knowledge. The biological section shows human figures in strange poses surrounded by mysterious apparatus. Professional cryptographers, linguists, and computer scientists have applied every available decoding technique to the manuscript without success. Statistical analysis, frequency analysis, and pattern recognition algorithms have all failed to crack the code. The text appears to follow its own internal logic that doesn't correspond to any known linguistic system. Some researchers theorize that the manuscript is written in a constructed language created specifically for the book, possibly by a medieval scholar or alchemist who wanted to keep his knowledge secret. Others suggest it might represent a lost natural language that was never recorded elsewhere, making translation impossible without additional examples. The illustrations suggest the manuscript deals with topics related to medicine, astronomy, and natural philosophy. The plant drawings might represent pharmaceutical knowledge, the astronomical diagrams could be astrological calculations, and the human figures might illustrate medical or alchemical procedures. Recent analysis using artificial intelligence and machine learning has identified patterns in the text that suggest it might be encoded using multiple layers of encryption. The manuscript may contain a genuine language that was then transformed through complex ciphering processes that would require knowledge of the original encoding method to reverse. The mystery deepens when considering the manuscript's provenance. Historical records suggest it may have been owned by Rudolf II, Holy Roman Emperor, who was known for his interest in alchemy and occult knowledge. The manuscript's presence in his collection suggests it was considered valuable and important by contemporary scholars. Modern attempts to decode the manuscript have involved collaboration between historians, linguists, cryptographers, and computer scientists. Advanced computational analysis has revealed new patterns and structures in the text, but these discoveries have only made the mystery more complex rather than solving it. The Voynich manuscript represents one of the most enduring challenges in the history of cryptography and linguistics. Its pages continue to guard their secrets, written in a language that may be lost forever or never have existed as conventional communication at all. The manuscript serves as a reminder that human knowledge and communication can take forms that transcend our current understanding. Its mysterious script and impossible illustrations challenge us to consider possibilities that lie beyond the boundaries of conventional scholarship and known linguistic systems. The Bermuda Triangle's electromagnetic anomalies. In the waters between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico lies an area of ocean that has become synonymous with mysterious disappearances and unexplained phenomena. The Bermuda Triangle, as it's known, has been the scene of numerous vanishings of ships and aircraft, many of which occurred under clear weather conditions with no apparent mechanical problems. The mystery began to gain public attention in the 1970s when researchers compiled lists of vessels that had disappeared in the region under unusual circumstances. These incidents included experienced pilots whose aircraft vanished without sending distress signals, ships that disappeared with all hands while reporting normal conditions, and rescue vessels that went missing while searching for previous disappearances. What makes the Bermuda Triangle particularly intriguing is not just the number of disappearances, but the unusual circumstances surrounding many of them. Pilots have reported compass malfunctions, radio interference, and visual phenomena that don't correspond to normal atmospheric conditions. Electronic equipment frequently experiences failures that can't be explained by conventional technical problems. Scientific analysis of the region has revealed several unusual characteristics that might contribute to the reported phenomena. The area sits above the Puerto Rico Trench, one of the deepest parts of the Atlantic Ocean, where unique geological conditions create unusual magnetic field variations and underwater methane deposits. Recent research has identified significant electromagnetic anomalies in the Bermuda Triangle region. These magnetic field variations could interfere with navigation equipment, causing compasses to give false readings and GPS systems to malfunction. The effects might be subtle enough to cause gradual course deviations that lead vessels far from their intended destinations. The ocean floor in the region contains massive deposits of methane hydrates, crystalline structures that can release large quantities of gas under specific temperature and pressure conditions. If these deposits release methane suddenly, they could create bubbles that reduce water density, potentially causing ships to lose buoyancy and sink rapidly. Atmospheric methane releases could also affect aircraft by altering air density and creating unusual atmospheric conditions. Large methane bubbles rising to the surface might create localized weather phenomena that could interfere with flight operations or cause aircraft to experience sudden altitude changes. The Gulf Stream, which flows through the Bermuda Triangle, creates complex current patterns that can carry debris far from incident locations. This natural phenomenon might explain why wreckage from disappeared vessels is rarely found, as it could be dispersed across vast areas of the Atlantic Ocean. Statistical analysis of maritime and aviation incidents in the Bermuda Triangle reveals that the rate of disappearances is not significantly higher than in other heavily travelled ocean regions. However, the unusual circumstances surrounding many of the reported incidents suggest that something about the area's environmental conditions contributes to navigation problems and equipment failures. Modern satellite tracking and improved communication systems have reduced the number of mysterious disappearances in recent decades, but the Bermuda Triangle continues to experience incidents that defy easy explanation. The combination of complex geology, unusual atmospheric conditions, and heavy maritime traffic creates an environment where normal navigation challenges can escalate into serious problems. The mystery of the Bermuda Triangle illustrates how environmental factors can create conditions that challenge human technology and navigation capabilities. While many of the reported phenomena may have natural explanations, the region's unique characteristics continue to create situations that test our understanding of oceanic and atmospheric science. The Triangle remains one of the most studied regions of the ocean, with researchers continuing to investigate the electromagnetic, geological, and atmospheric factors that might contribute to its reputation for unusual phenomena. Each new discovery adds to our understanding of how complex natural systems can create conditions that seem to defy conventional explanation. The Taos Hum's frequency mystery. In the high desert of New Mexico, residents of Taos have reported hearing a persistent, low-frequency humming sound that has no identifiable source. The Taos Hum, as it's known, affects only a small percentage of the population but causes such distress that some sufferers have considered relocating to escape the constant noise. The phenomenon was first officially documented in the 1990s when a group of Taos residents petitioned the government to investigate the mysterious sound. Descriptions of the hum vary among sufferers, but most report a low-frequency drone similar to a distant diesel engine or electrical transformer, often accompanied by physical sensations like vibrations or pressure in the ears. Scientific investigation has revealed that the hum occurs at frequencies between 30 and 80 Hz, in the range of very low-frequency sound waves that can travel great distances and penetrate buildings. However, extensive acoustic monitoring has failed to identify any external source for the sound, suggesting it may be generated internally within the affected individuals. The mystery deepens when considering that only about 2% of Taos residents report hearing the hum, and the ability to perceive it doesn't correlate with age, gender, or hearing sensitivity. Some sufferers are musicians or sound engineers with highly trained ears, while others have no particular acoustic expertise. The selectivity of the phenomenon suggests it may involve neurological or physiological factors rather than simple acoustic transmission. Researchers have proposed various explanations for the Taos hum, including geological activity, electromagnetic fields, and atmospheric phenomena. The region's unique geological structure, with its underground caverns and fault lines, might create resonant frequencies that only certain individuals can perceive. Electromagnetic radiation from radio transmitters or power lines might also contribute to the phenomenon. Studies of similar humming phenomena in other locations have revealed that low-frequency sounds can be generated by ocean waves, atmospheric pressure changes, or industrial activity hundreds of miles away. These distant sources can create infrasonic waves that travel through the ground and atmosphere, becoming audible only under specific conditions. The physiological effects of the Taos hum extend beyond simple annoyance. Many sufferers report sleep disturbances, anxiety, and difficulty concentrating. Some describe physical sensations like vibrations in their chest or head, suggesting that the phenomenon involves more than just auditory perception. Medical examination of hum sufferers has revealed no consistent anatomical differences that might explain their sensitivity to the phenomenon. Brain imaging studies have shown that the auditory cortex of affected individuals responds differently to certain frequencies, but researchers haven't determined whether this represents a cause or effect of the hum experience. The psychological impact of the Taos hum can be severe, particularly because the sound is persistent and has no apparent source. Sufferers often feel isolated and frustrated, especially when others cannot hear the sound that dominates their daily experience. This psychological component adds another layer of complexity to understanding the phenomenon. Recent research has focused on the possibility that the hum represents a form of tinnitus, the perception of sound in the absence of external acoustic stimuli. However, the geographical concentration of cases in Taos suggests that environmental factors play a role in triggering or intensifying the phenomenon. The Taos hum investigation has involved collaboration between acoustic engineers, neurologists, geologists, and psychologists. Despite extensive research, the exact mechanism that generates the sound remains unknown, and effective treatments for sufferers have not been developed. The phenomenon serves as a reminder that human perception can be influenced by factors we don't fully understand. The Taos hum illustrates how environmental conditions, physiological sensitivity, and psychological factors can combine to create experiences that challenge our conventional understanding of sound and hearing. The giant stones of Baalbek. In Lebanon's Bekaa Valley stands one of the most awe-inspiring archaeological sites in the world, where massive stone blocks defy explanation and challenge our understanding of ancient engineering capabilities. The ruins of Baalbek contain some of the largest building stones ever moved by human hands, their size and precision raising questions that remain unanswered after centuries of study. The Temple of Jupiter at Baalbek sits atop a foundation composed of megalithic blocks that dwarf even the stones of the Great Pyramid. These foundation stones, known as the trilithon, measure over 20 meters in length and weigh approximately 1,000 tons each. To put this in perspective, Modern cranes struggle to lift loads of this magnitude, but the trilithon blocks are not the largest stones at Baalbek. In the nearby quarry lie even more massive monoliths, including the Stone of the Pregnant Woman and the Stone of the South, which weigh nearly 200 tons, making them among the heaviest objects ever shaped by human hands. These massive blocks were not only quarried and shaped with remarkable precision, but were also transported several hundred meters from their quarry and raised to significant heights to form the temple foundation. The level of accuracy in their placement is extraordinary. The blocks fit together with joints so tight that a knife blade cannot be inserted between them. The engineering challenges involved in moving these stones are staggering. Modern construction would require specialized equipment, reinforced roadways, and massive cranes to handle loads of this size. Yet the ancient builders accomplished this task using technology that, according to conventional archaeology, shouldn't have been available to them. No ancient texts describe the specific techniques used to move the Baalbek stones. Various theories have been proposed: massive teams of workers, complex pulley systems, wooden rollers, and earthen ramps. But none fully explain how blocks of this size could be lifted and positioned with such precision. The craftsmanship displayed in the Baalbek stones is equally mysterious. The surfaces are cut with laser-like precision, the edges are perfectly straight, and the corners are exact right angles. The level of accuracy suggests the use of sophisticated tools and measuring devices that leave no archaeological trace. Recent analysis using ground-penetrating radar has revealed that the foundation extends much deeper than previously thought, with additional layers of megalithic blocks buried beneath centuries of accumulated debris. This suggests the original construction was even more massive and complex than the visible ruins indicate. The temple complex at Baalbek represents multiple construction phases spanning several civilizations. The megalithic foundation appears to predate the Roman temple built on top of it, suggesting that the site's importance transcended individual cultures and time periods. Local legends speak of giants who built the original structures, while more recent theories propose the involvement of advanced technologies or even extraterrestrial assistance. While these explanations lack archaeological support, they reflect the genuine puzzlement that the site continues to inspire. The mystery of Baalbek extends beyond the simple question of how the stones were moved. Why did ancient builders choose to work with such impossibly large blocks, when the same structures could have been built with smaller, more manageable stones? What motivated them to undertake such an enormous engineering challenge? Modern engineers studying Baalbek have concluded that moving stones of this size would be extremely difficult, even with contemporary technology. The ancient builders accomplished something that pushes the boundaries of what we consider possible with pre-industrial tools and techniques. Baalbek stands as a testament to human ambition and engineering capability that challenges our assumptions about ancient civilizations. Its massive stones continue to guard their secrets, waiting for us to develop the understanding necessary to comprehend the full scope of our ancestors' achievements. The cursed diamonds of history. Throughout history, certain gemstones have acquired reputations for bringing misfortune, death, and disaster to their owners. These cursed diamonds, while scientifically impossible to possess supernatural properties, have been associated with such consistent patterns of tragedy that they've become legendary among gemologists and historians alike. The most famous cursed diamond is the Hope Diamond, a 45.52 carat blue stone that allegedly originated from the eye of a Hindu statue. According to legend, the diamond was stolen from a temple in India, bringing a curse upon anyone who possessed it. The gem's documented history includes a succession of owners who experienced financial ruin, violent death, or other calamities. The French merchant Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, who allegedly first acquired the stone, was supposedly torn apart by wild dogs in Russia. King Louis XIV of France, who purchased the diamond, saw his dynasty collapse in revolution and his descendants executed. Marie Antoinette, who wore the stone, was guillotined during the French Revolution. Later owners continued to experience unusual misfortunes. The banker Henry Thomas Hope, for whom the diamond is named, suffered financial collapse. Subsequent owners reported mysterious deaths, suicides, and accidents that seemed to cluster around possession of the stone. The pattern of disasters was so consistent that the diamond became known as one of the most dangerous objects in the world. The Delhi purple sapphire, despite its name actually being an amethyst, carries a similar reputation for bringing misfortune to its owners. Colonel W. Ferris, who brought the stone to England in 1857, experienced a series of financial and health problems that he attributed to the gem. His family members who inherited the stone also reported unusual accidents and illnesses. The Black Orloff diamond, also known as the Eye of Brahma, is said to be cursed with a particular tendency to drive its owners to suicide. 3 owners of the stone allegedly killed themselves by jumping from buildings in New York, leading to its reputation as one of the most dangerous gems in existence. Scientific analysis of these stories reveals several factors that might contribute to the perception of cursed diamonds. The extraordinary value of these stones makes them targets for theft, fraud, and violence. The stress of owning extremely valuable objects can create psychological pressure that might contribute to poor decision-making or risky behavior. The historical periods when many of these diamonds were prominent were times of political upheaval, economic instability, and social violence. The French Revolution, colonial conflicts, and social changes of the 18th and 19th centuries created dangerous environments where wealthy individuals were natural targets for violence and persecution. The rarity and beauty of exceptional diamonds also attract attention from unstable individuals who might become obsessed with acquiring them. The psychological impact of possessing objects of legendary value can create unusual stress and paranoia that might contribute to the disasters associated with cursed stones. Modern gemological analysis has revealed that some historically cursed diamonds possess unusual characteristics that might contribute to their reputations. The Hope diamond's blue colour comes from trace amounts of boron that make it phosphoresce under ultraviolet light, creating an eerie glow that might have seemed supernatural to earlier observers. The clustering of tragedies around certain gemstones might also reflect selective reporting and the human tendency to remember dramatic events while forgetting ordinary ones. The stories of cursed diamonds often omit owners who lived normal, uneventful lives, while emphasizing those who experienced dramatic misfortunes. Despite scientific skepticism about supernatural curses, the legends surrounding these diamonds continue to influence their market value and cultural significance. The stories have become part of the gem's provenance, making them more valuable to collectors, while also making some potential owners reluctant to acquire them. The phenomenon of cursed diamonds illustrates how human psychology, historical circumstances, and cultural beliefs can combine to create persistent legends that transcend rational explanation. Whether or not supernatural forces are involved, these stones have undeniably been associated with remarkable patterns of human drama and tragedy. The Karnak stone's astronomical computer. Along the coast of Brittany, France, thousands of prehistoric stone monuments stretch across the landscape in precise geometric patterns. The Karnak megaliths, erected over 6,000 years ago, represent one of the largest collections of standing stones in the world, but their purpose has remained mysterious despite centuries of archaeological investigation. The monuments consist of more than 3,000 individual stones arranged in multiple alignments that extend for several kilometers. The largest stones stand over 20 feet tall and weigh several tons, while smaller markers create intricate patterns that seem to follow mathematical principles. The precision of the arrangement suggests they were planned and executed according to sophisticated design principles. Recent analysis using satellite imagery and computer modeling has revealed that the Karnak stones incorporate complex astronomical alignments. The rows of stones correspond to the positions of celestial bodies at specific times of year, suggesting the entire complex may have functioned as a massive astronomical calculator used to predict seasonal changes and celestial events. The alignments track not just the sun and moon, but also the positions of planets and star constellations that were significant to prehistoric peoples. The stones appear to have been positioned to mark important dates in the agricultural calendar, including planting and harvest times, as well as religious festivals that coincided with astronomical phenomena. What makes the Karnak stones particularly remarkable is the level of mathematical sophistication required to create such precise alignments. The builders would have needed detailed knowledge of celestial mechanics, geometric principles, and surveying techniques to position thousands of stones with the accuracy observed in the surviving monuments. The construction process itself represents an extraordinary feat of prehistoric engineering. The stones were quarried from distant locations, transported across difficult terrain, and erected using techniques that remain unclear. The organization and coordination required to complete such a massive project suggests a highly developed social structure and technological capability. Archaeological evidence indicates that the Karnak stones were built over a period of centuries, with different sections added and modified as astronomical knowledge developed. The complexity of the alignments increases in later editions, suggesting that the builders were continuously refining their understanding of celestial patterns and improving their ability to predict astronomical events. The purpose of this astronomical computer extended beyond simple calendar functions. The stone alignments may have been used to predict eclipses, track planetary conjunctions, and identify other rare celestial events that held religious or practical significance for prehistoric communities. The Karnak stones demonstrate that Neolithic peoples possessed sophisticated understanding of astronomy and mathematics that rivals modern knowledge in some areas. Their ability to predict celestial events with precision suggests they had developed scientific methods for observation, record-keeping, and theoretical analysis that weren't previously thought to exist in prehistoric times. Modern attempts to decode the complete astronomical functions of the Karnak stones have revealed additional layers of complexity. The alignments incorporate corrections for the precession of the equinoxes, the gradually changing orientation of Earth's axis that affects the apparent positions of stars over long periods. The stones also appear to encode information about lunar cycles, including the complex 18.6-year cycle that governs the extreme positions of moonrise and moonset. This advanced astronomical knowledge required generations of careful observation and mathematical analysis to develop and implement. The Karnak megaliths represent one of humanity's earliest attempts to create a permanent record of astronomical knowledge. The stones serve as both observatory and textbook, preserving information about celestial patterns in a form that could be maintained and consulted for thousands of years. Research continues to reveal new aspects of the Karnak stone's astronomical functions. Each discovery adds to our understanding of prehistoric scientific capability and demonstrates that our ancestors possessed knowledge and skills that challenge our assumptions about the development of human civilization. The monuments stand as testament to the human drive to understand the cosmos and our place within it. Their precise alignments and mathematical relationships remind us that the quest for knowledge and the desire to decode the patterns of the universe are fundamental aspects of human nature that transcend time and culture. The Mapuche prophecy of the white gods. In the mountains of Chile and Argentina, the Mapuche people have preserved oral traditions that speak of white-skinned gods who came from across the sea long before the arrival of European explorers. These prophecies, passed down through generations of storytellers, describe advanced beings who possessed knowledge of metallurgy, astronomy, and engineering that they shared with selected indigenous peoples. The Mapuche prophecies describe the arrival of fair-skinned visitors who came in great vessels and established settlements along the South American coast. These beings, known as the People of the Dawn, were said to possess technologies that seemed miraculous to the indigenous populations. The ability to work with metals, construct lasting buildings, and predict celestial events with remarkable accuracy. According to oral traditions, these mysterious visitors established schools where they taught selected Mapuche individuals advanced knowledge about agriculture, medicine, and the construction of ceremonial centers. The prophecies describe complex astronomical observations and mathematical calculations that were incorporated into Mapuche religious practices and seasonal ceremonies. The stories speak of great stone monuments that were built under the guidance of these white gods, structures that incorporated precise astronomical alignments and demonstrated engineering capabilities that exceeded normal indigenous technology. Some of these monuments allegedly still exist in remote locations, though their exact whereabouts remain secrets known only to traditional Mapuche elders. Modern archaeological investigation has discovered evidence of sophisticated prehistoric settlements in regions where the Mapuche prophecies locate the activities of the white gods. These sites contain advanced metallurgical workshops, astronomical observation platforms, and architectural remains that suggest knowledge of engineering principles not commonly associated with pre-Columbian South American cultures. The prophecies also describe the white gods' eventual departure, with promises to return during times of great upheaval when the indigenous peoples would need their guidance again. The oral traditions contain specific signs and portents that would herald this return, including descriptions of environmental changes and social transformations that some modern Mapuche interpret as relating to contemporary conditions. Linguistic analysis of the Mapuche prophecies has revealed technical terminology and concepts that seem to reflect knowledge of advanced sciences. The oral traditions contain precise descriptions of astronomical phenomena, metallurgical processes, and engineering techniques that suggest contact with peoples who possessed sophisticated technical knowledge. The prophecies describe specific geographical locations where the white gods established their most important settlements and teaching centers. Some of these locations have been identified by researchers, revealing archaeological sites that contain artifacts and structures that don't fit conventional models of prehistoric South American development. Carbon dating of materials from these sites has produced results that align with the time periods described in the Mapuche prophecies, suggesting that the oral traditions preserve accurate historical information about actual events and people. The consistency of the chronological framework across different versions of the prophecies supports their reliability as historical sources. The most intriguing aspect of the Mapuche prophecies is their description of the white gods' knowledge of future events. The oral traditions contain predictions about the arrival of Spanish conquistadors, the development of modern technology, and environmental changes that have proven remarkably accurate over the centuries. Some researchers suggest that the Mapuche prophecies may preserve memories of contact with Viking explorers, Polynesian navigators, or other seafaring peoples who reached South America before Columbus. The descriptions of advanced metallurgy and astronomical knowledge would be consistent with the capabilities of these hypothetical visitors. The prophecies have gained renewed attention in recent decades as environmental changes and social upheavals have created conditions that some Mapuche interpret as signs of the white gods' promised return. Traditional elders speak of a time when the ancient knowledge will be revealed again to help humanity navigate through coming challenges. The Mapuche prophecies represent one of the most detailed and consistent oral traditions describing prehistoric contact between indigenous South Americans and unknown visitors. Whether these stories preserve memories of actual historical events or reflect symbolic teachings about human potential and cosmic relationships, they demonstrate the remarkable ability of oral tradition to preserve complex information across centuries. The prophecies continue to influence contemporary Mapuche culture and spirituality, serving as a bridge between ancient wisdom and modern challenges. They remind us that indigenous oral traditions may contain historical information that extends far beyond the scope of conventional archaeological evidence, preserving knowledge about the past that could reshape our understanding of human history. And here, as we reach the end of our exploration through 25 unsolved mysteries that cannot be explained and that continue to puzzle and inspire us, we find ourselves standing at the threshold between the known and the unknowable. From the vanishing army of Cambyses to the prophecies of the Mapuche, from ancient computers to cursed diamonds, each story we've explored tonight represents a fragment of human experience that refuses to fit neatly into our understanding of history, science, and the natural world. These mysteries remind us that the past is not a closed book, but an ongoing conversation between what we think we know and what we have yet to discover. They challenge us to remain humble in the face of the unknown and curious about the possibilities that lie beyond the boundaries of conventional knowledge. The shadows of history are long, and in their depths lie answers to questions we're only beginning to formulate. The mysteries await, patient and eternal, challenging us to look beyond our assumptions and imagine possibilities that transcend the boundaries of conventional knowledge. If you find these mysterious stories fascinating, please leave your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our next discoveries. Until we meet again in the shadows of the unexplained, sweet dreams, fellow guardians of human wisdom.